All right, hello everybody. This is Matt from Matt's Fantasy Book Reviews, and today I'm going to be having my second ever month recap, and this is going to be for the month of June. I had a great month reading. I read about a little over 5,400 pages, which is pretty average for me. The most I read in a single day this month was 228 pages, and the least I read was 129. Got through 14 books, which again is pretty average. And that brings my yearly total up to 71 books this year, a little over 32,000 pages, and just a tad over 10 million words. So going strong, having a good year. My average rating this month was 3.53, which is pretty much lower than normal. And it got brought down because I had several ones, and I'll go over that in a minute. And luckily, I read every single book that I said I would, and I actually read them all within one day of when I said I would finish them all. So really consistent. I'm pretty OCD and I plan my stuff out far in advance, so it doesn't surprise me that I got it pretty close, but that's real close. So I want to start off at the top on the books that I went through. So the first book that I got through was The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. Gave this a 4 stars, liked this book a lot. Didn't love the first half or so of it. Started liking the 3/4 of the way mark a lot, and then the ending of the book I thought was fantastic. Such a shock, such a tone change, and I thought it worked really well for the book, and it's getting me really excited to read the second one. I'm actually reading the second one right now, The Dragon Republic. I'm in the middle of reading it right now, and I'm liking it a lot. Probably, it's in that 4-star range for me right now, but we'll see how it goes. Next book I read was Network Effect, part of the Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells. This is actually my surprise book of the month. I gave it a 4 out of 5. And I gave it a surprise because this series was dwindling. The 2 books before this I thought were not great. I was getting totally disenchanted with the Murderbot series, and this book brought it back up. I now have renewed faith in the series. I thought having a full-length novel for the first time ever in the Murderbot Diaries was a wonderful change. And yeah, I'm back in, and I really I knew that this wasn't going to be good. And I just love when that happens. It's such a good feeling to be totally wrong when it's that direction. The next book I read was The Umbral Storm, part of the new series, The Sharded Few by Alec Hutson. This is the first Alec Hutson book I've read. He's not a very well-known author. He was super nice enough. I reached out to him to talk to him that I said I wanted to review it. He sent me out a copy, so I got to read my first physical book in a long time because as you've seen as you watch my videos, I'm a Kindle reader. But it was fun reading a physical book, and oh man, I love this book. 5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was such a strong entry into this, into the epic fantasy genre. It's a progression fantasy. It turns out I'm a big progression fantasy fan. Every book I've read that has that is its subgenre I'm obsessed with. The magic system is one of the best I've ever read about. So inventive. This guy is a genius. And I love the way he writes, and I just can't wait to read the next one in that series. Followed up by my worst... my worst book of the month was The Fifth Season, part of the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. I hated this book. I didn't finish it. I got about 4/5 of the way through and just couldn't power through. I saw the ending coming a mile away. I didn't even read the ending and I know what happened because it was so obvious. I thought the writing style was horrible. I listened to the audiobook and I think that actually saved it a little bit. If I read the physical book, the things that I've read about the physical book and the way that the formatting is and the way that the random bolding and italics and trying to make stuff super dramatic that's not dramatic, I think would turn me off even more than I was. So not a fan, and I'm dipping out of that series, and I don't think I'm going to read any more N.K. Jemisin because that's not my style. The next 4 books I read were part of the Tales of Botchelane and Corbel Brooch series. I read The Wurms of Blearmouth, Crackpot Trail, The Healthy Dead, and The Fiends of Nightmaria. And in order, I gave those a 5, a 1, a 4.5, and a 4. The 1 kind of shocked me, and I don't want to spoil anything about why I gave it a 1, but it's a very different tone. It's a bunch of stories within stories. Didn't love the cast very much, but the other ones I thought were wonderful. And this is in Malazan overall universe. And as you know, if you watch me, Malazan's my favorite series of all time. Steven Erikson's my favorite writer of all time. So shouldn't be a shock to everybody that I severely loved these books. Just didn't like one of them. The next book I read was Going Postal by Terry Pratchett. This is part of the Discworld series. Gave this a 4.5 stars. One of the better Discworld books. Didn't find it very funny, actually, which is surprising for a Discworld book, but I thought the plot was amazing. It's the best plot I've ever read in a Discworld book, and it's a fun spin on the post office, and a mythical post office, in where the mail hasn't been going out for decades, and somebody has to come in and right-size the ship. It's wonderful, kind of like deeply philosophical, as most Terry Pratchett books are. And it's one of the few Terry Pratchett books that you can read as a standalone. So you don't have to read any other Discworld books to be able to enjoy this one, and it'd be a decent intro into the universe. The next book I read was The Rose by P.T. Avella. 1 out of 5. Didn't get very far into this book. I dipped out about a third of the way through. Not my style. It's a horror book. I don't like horror books. It's a science fiction book. I'm not the biggest science fiction fan, and I thought the writing wasn't great. And this author is extremely not well known. He reached out to me, sent me the books. I feel super bad that I have to give him negative reviews, but I got to be honest. They're not for me. And I normally I try to find some things that I liked about it, but I didn't like anything about this book. So sadly, I had to give that a 1 out of 5. Next book I read was The Blood Mirror from Brent Weeks. This is part of the Lightbringer series. This is the 4th book in the Lightbringer series. Didn't like it. Thought it was the worst Lightbringer book that I've read. 2 out of 5 stars. I only have one more book to go. I'm going to read it, but I'm highly suspecting that I'm going to hate it. I've heard that the last book is universally hated. I've heard that the book that I just got finished reading, The Blood Mirror, is universally the second worst book in the series. And I agree with everybody that it's the worst so far. So my confidence is shot. I do like Brent Weeks as an author. I thought 3 of the books were great. One of them was a 5 out of 5. So looking forward to finishing up that series and getting into some more Brent Weeks books later on. Then I read A Time of Courage by John Gwynne. This is the 3rd in the trilogy of Blood and Bone. This is tied for my book of the month. I cannot get over how amazing this book is. It knocked my socks off. It's one of the best John Gwynne books I've read. John Gwynne has turned into my second favorite author of all time. I love everything about him as a writer. This wrapped up the series in such magnificent fashion. From start to finish, I was obsessed with this book. The next book I read was King of Thorns by Mark Lawrence. This is the 2nd in the Broken Empire series. Another 2 out of 5. Not a fan. I thought the first book in the series was a 4 out of 5, but there's a lot of things that I didn't like about this book, and quite frankly, I think 2 is generous. I get why a lot of people like it. I understand that this is probably for a lot of people. It's not for me. So I'm getting out of that series. Then the last book I read is the other book that's tied for the best book that I read this month, and it is Fool's Assassin. Just finished it yesterday by Robin Hobb. This is part of the Realm of the Elderlings, the first book in the Fitz and the Fool subseries, which is the last subseries. I'm down to 2 more books left after this one. Quite sad about it. I feel like I've gone on this epic journey with these characters. I think there is no writer like Robin Hobb. I don't think she's the best writer of all time, but she is up there. And her character writing is the best. And I'm so sad that I'm going to be leaving this universe eventually. And I'm sure that my world is going to be rocked by characters that I love and have loved for many books getting killed off because she loves breaking your heart. And so I'm not looking forward to that. Want to give some quick channel stats. I had 3.7 thousand views this month, which was 301 hours. Got 101 new subscribers, so thank you to everyone that is a new subscriber. My number 1 video this month was the top 9 most anticipated fantasy books left in 2022. My top 10, this is top 9, but my top videos or top books are always the top rated videos. If I wanted to make my channel really blow up, I would just make a bunch of top 10 videos. They're not my favorite to do. I do them when I have inspiration. I have a bunch in the queue that I just haven't had the energy to get to. I'll probably bust out 1 or 2 a month. But yeah. The number 2 highest rated video was the 5th season. So apparently people love when I trash on popular books. And the number 3 was the Umbral Storm. So yeah, I loved this month. It was a great month. And before I sign off, I am going to switch over real quick and do the pick of the month. I put a video out a couple weeks ago asking people to submit books they want me to read. And I had something like 15 people put books out there that they want me to read. I'm going to throw it into a little picker wheel thing, and I want you guys to pick the book for me. So I'm going to try to figure out how to do this real quick. And let's see if I can do it. There we go. All right, let's spin that wheel. There's only one book on here that I don't really want to read, so I'm really hoping it's not it. And it is Empire of the Vampire by J. Kristoff. This is not the one that I didn't want to read. I have never heard of this book before it got put on here, but the little that I did read about it, it looked rather good. So I'm going to slip that into my reading in July, and I will be happy to report back on how that went. So let me get rid of this video capture thing real quick. Remove. And I'm back. So, thank you so much for watching this video. Gonna make a video tomorrow probably with my July TBR list, and look forward to doing that. So thanks so much for bearing with me. Appreciate you watching, and catch you next time.